I want to walk you through how I basically think through a hard decision in business. I believe this insight will be very valuable. It doesn't matter what stage you're at in business. And I think it's at the perfect time because I've had to think through a tough decision with my business and where I'm at. And I basically want to walk you through how I think about it. Now, the way this channel works, by the way, is I post daily videos on this channel and I answer questions that you guys leave every single day. I also have this main channel over here, which is more just me sharing my insights and strategies. This is more of me working live, right? So real quick, I want to go through some of these questions that have been on this channel, and then we'll dive into kind of the decision I have to make and the thought process behind that, okay? So first question from Divine, moving to BizOp instead. I'm assuming that you're asking if like my main coaching consulting offer is going the BizOp route. No, I'm still working with people that already have at least a case study. They have an idea about their offer. Like, there's exceptions if somebody has like no coaching or agency business at all, but they have a skill set and like I know I'm gonna scale them, then yes. But I'm gonna leave like beginners and that type of thing to just consuming free content and just buying like low ticket courses and stuff. I think is pretty much the best play. Like when I started, I bought Iman's course to learn SMMA, and then from there I actually started joining programs, and that's where I started making progress. But yeah, next question right here, amazing video. I was wondering, how do you guarantee success for your clients when they're the ones doing the work? Well, the truth of the matter is that nothing's ever guaranteed. And so even when clients work with me, I don't guarantee them anything. You know, sometimes I'll do like a performance deal with them where they'll pay like the second half once they hit a result. That's if they hit the result. You see what I'm saying? So like to its core, bro, it doesn't matter even if the work is done for you. Like there is no guarantee of success ever. There is no guarantees in life in general. He says, I get that you're consulting them and guiding the strategy, but what happens if they film their own VSL ads or content and it ends up looking bad or just not engaging? Well, if you do an input and it doesn't produce the output that you want, then you have to just simply change the input, right? So it's not like, I would say it's not as black or white as you're thinking about it, where it's like, okay, I told this client to make this piece of content one time and it didn't work. It's not like, oh, it didn't work. It's like, why didn't it work? And then it's having somebody there, which is what my clients have me there for, to help guide them through the iteration process of that thing not working and what they need to iterate on to make it actually work. So a lot of the times, you know, your first VSL doesn't convert the way you want it to. Majority of the time, the first ever ad you run will not convert. You'll just burn your money on fire. And for sure, the first content that you post is probably not going to convert. And so I think one thing that would be valuable for you here is understanding that this comes down to expectations with clients. And what a lot of people are doing is they're guaranteeing success. They're just spamming guarantees into the freaking market. They're like, hey, we're going to guarantee you this, guarantee you this. And a lot of people are doing it because it works to get clients, right? But adding on to what we're going to be covering today, what is the second order consequence of using your marketing in that way where you're going very guarantee result heavy? It typically attracts the lowest quality clients because high quality clients, people that are actually going to get great results, they also understand that nothing is ever guaranteed. And those people are willing to take the risk by investing and joining something, knowing that there's a chance that it doesn't work, and knowing that a lot of the work is on them, and knowing that the first content VSL or ad they film is probably not going to work. And so it's having that right expectation, and that's why I do marketing the way that I do it. I don't make it guarantee focused. For my consulting business, as of right now, there are no guarantees, and I like it like that because it's refreshing. You know, if somebody asks me for a guarantee, I'm like, I don't have one. You can go to somebody else that gives guarantees, but at the end of the day, nothing's ever guaranteed, man, right? So it attracts a low quality client, and it also kind of just puts you in a bad spot where it's like, if you don't get the result in 90 days exactly, they're blowing up your phone asking for a refund, right? I want to work with people that understand nothing's guaranteed. So that's probably too long of an answer, but that's basically how I overcome that. It's not just did it work or did it not. If it didn't, how can we improve it? If it did, how could we do more of it? Rajwan, can't wait for my turn. Brother, I know you're following along, dude. I just hit you back up in the DMs. We got this dude. I don't know how to say your name, bro, or your username. Thanks for this value. Can you share the Miro board? Yeah, so the Miro board is in the descriptions of these videos. Now, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Miro board in the description. So one thing that I want to walk you through how I think about this, right? I think it'd also be valuable for you to see what I'm thinking. Uh, I've had about 3 days since I started building this outreach campaign and waiting for my VAs to get it live, which they are now live and they're ready to blast out DMs, all 13. So now we have 13 accounts. 12 of them are actually working. So 12 are going to be sending DMs today. And as a matter of fact, we actually got positive responses on like the little small sample size of DMs that we did send. If I go here, you could actually see on account 3, which is the one that I was sending, I sent out like 70 DMs and we got an interested lead right here. Sure, I'll check it out. We got this guy right here. Sure, look forward to watching it one day soon. So we got 2 positive responses. I mean, this stuff just works, and that's without scale. But that's leading up to this point of the conversation where I'm trying to basically think through what I'm doing right now between this offer and the other offer that I have. And there's something that here's basically what I'm thinking, right? I learned this lesson from like people like Alex Becker, Sam Ovens early on. Focus is your superpower as an entrepreneur, right? And when you send your focus in different routes, what ends up happening is your focus can only go so far out. Because if you're focused on all these different things, then your focus only goes this far out, right? Pretty short. Versus the idea that if you grab your focus, which is your superpower, and you put it all towards one exact thing, you could focus way harder on it and actually make it work. And so I understood this, and I've been talking with some friends about what I'm doing. And to its core, you know, I have basically on this new channel, I was like starting this new offer and I'm reaching out to realtors and such. But what I didn't realize, that was a very impulse decision to do that, was something called the second order consequence. And maybe you understand this, maybe you've heard about this, but an easy example that I learned like what order consequences are is like if you take a TV, right? Let's say we have a little TV here. It's like an old school TV. And draw some people on it. Let's say you have a TV. So let's say you go and actually buy a TV, right? The first order consequence is the immediate result of doing a thing. And so if you think about like buying a TV, the first order consequence of buying a TV, the result of it is that you can now watch shows and movies, right? So you spent this money on a TV and you're like, great, the first order consequence, I could go watch shows, I could watch movies with my girl, etc., etc. But what people don't think about is the second order consequence of buying a TV. So the first order is a good result, immediate result, hey, I could watch shows now. But the second order is that it actually takes away focus from the biz. Because you spent this money on a TV. Like I have a TV here in my living room. I'm not anti-TV. I'm just using this as an example, right? I have a TV here. I bought this TV. I paid money for it. I have it right here. I feel like I need to be using my TV to get my money's worth, right? But when I use my TV, when I watch YouTube or play video games or whatever I'm doing, it is taking away focus from the business, time that I could have spent working. Opportunity cost from maybe working an extra 2 hours where I could have closed a 10K deal. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm applying the same thing to what I'm doing right now because I have my main consulting business, Spartan Scaling, which essentially helps people running an agency, a coaching or consulting business scale with the same systems that help me scale to 48 grand a month. And then I had this second business, Spire, where my plan was to basically sell the same outreach process to realtors. And the issue is if I go all in on like building this to 1,000 DMs a day, it is going to completely split my focus, right? And the reason I have decided to like redo this in the first place was because it would be very valuable and it would be hard for people to compete with me. But at the end of the day, what is the thing that I want to do forever, for a long time? It's this thing. And I don't want to take focus away from this. And so I'm trying to think through how I could balance, you know, showing that the stuff that I know actually works, which the example was me building this, versus being able to focus on my consulting business, serve my clients at the highest level, and just build something that's really, really great. And I came to the conclusion, I'm like, dude, well, you know, if I'm sending 1,000 DMs a day to realtors, I am building an entire new business. And it's going to take away a lot of focus from things that I should be doing, such as refining my freaking course. So this is part of my course right here. And if I just show you, I added in a bunch of different sections to my course, right? An MVP section where people come in, they have custom GPTs built, but I need to redo the mastery section. And here's the second order consequence. If I'm so focused on building this thing up and serving these new realtor clients that I have, which I really don't care about necessarily working with realtors, it would strictly be, the only play for this would be to prove that my strategies work so that people join my program. Like, that is transparently, like, that's why you would do something like this. But then the second order consequence is I can't focus on the consulting business. When am I going to have time to revamp the mastery section? When am I going to have time to hop on calls with all my clients? And so what I think would be best, because I love the idea of building this new offer, but I'm a one-man show right now. And so what I'm thinking, because I know some people have been following along and they find a lot of value in it. I had one of my past clients actually hit me up saying, yo, it's so cool you're doing this. I'm going to build something similar. I think what I'm actually going to do moving forward is, like, I have the outreach accounts ready to blast, right? So I've been like preparing, thinking through this. What I could do is just maybe show me getting like one of these leads right here that positively responded, or sending a couple more, just actually getting them on a call, or just booking the call and just showing that it works outside of me just selling to agencies and consultants. That might be a good play, but I guess the point that I'm getting at, me having thought through this already, is the second order consequence of just strictly building a new offer is the fact that I can't focus fully on my consulting company, which is what I want to do in the long term. And you could do whatever you want in life. And I'm like, hey, I want to do this. So it's tricky. It's tricky because I had committed to building this as really an impulse decision, and looking back, it is not the right move, you know? And so what I think I'll be doing is still documenting me work live, but also just show like what I'm implementing every single day into my consulting business to grow it. And then maybe just show me booking calls like for a new offer, just so you would see how it works outside of the niche that I'm in. I think another thing that I came to the conclusion of is really understanding your ICP, right? The ideal client you're trying to work with. I used to work with beginners, and I never really enjoyed it as much as I did somebody that is already in momentum. Like they like taking action is not a thing we have to talk about. It's like they're doing the work. I just got to show them the path to follow. And so I know now, like my ICP, they're not going to necessarily care if I have to build a new business to prove my strategies work versus just implementing the strategies for myself. This is something you could see in people like Charlie Morgan, right? He built his marketing agency to $100,000 a month, and then basically like shut it down or sold part of it to build his consulting biz, which I think is the inevitable next play. You know, a lot of people, they come to me when they're running an agency and they're like, hey dude, I actually want to pivot to a consulting model since I know it's more scalable. One of my old clients that started working with me in 2023, James, he actually just signed up to work with me to build this exact same thing, because he got to $25K a month with his agency for realtors as well, running Facebook ads. I'm just going to put RE Real Estate. And he's been stuck here for like a year, right? He initially worked with me to grow this, and now he understands, like, dude, I need a done with you offer. Done for you is just way too time consuming. And like for all these reasons, basically we're working together now to build a done with you offer, helping realtors just have them implement the ad systems and the funnels and the CRM and everything themselves in order for him to scale to 50, which is his next goal, you know? So I think in summary, the way that I think through hard decisions is I look at not the immediate result of me making that decision, but the future results of it, right? Another way to think about this is this nice phrase right here called trade-offs. Every decision you make has a trade-off. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you decide to eat eggs in the morning instead of oatmeal, you're trading off having the enjoyment of oatmeal. You see what I'm saying? Like everything has a trade-off from every decision you make. And you have to evaluate if the trade-off is worth it, right? And so when I'm thinking through this situation where I'm building this process live, me booking calls, etc. live for a brand new offer, the trade-off would be the time, attention, and focus I could put to the consulting business. And you have to be willing to make the sacrifice that the trade-off has. And so I came to the conclusion like, no, I'm not willing to make that trade-off. But what I can do, you try to find like an equilibrium, right? Although there'll always be a trade-off, is I could show me just using the process live, implementing it into my own consulting business, and basically just share the back end on the things that I know to scale an offer, to build an offer, scale it, VSLs, settings, sales, delivery, etc. And trade-offs are one big part that help me think through tough decisions. So if you've been following along, what I believe is the best play for me, given second, third order consequences, is the fact that I'm going to be adjusting these accounts to go and target people in the agency consulting coaching space. Since I already have something that I know could really, really serve them. If you want to see me go and book a call with a realtor live, maybe even close them and maybe hand it off to somebody else to deliver, I think I could do something like that, which would be cool. It's kind of like a middle ground. But I think this would be the best play for right now. Because not only could this get my consulting business to 100 grand a month, right now I'm between like 30 and 50 grand a month, purely inbound. I'm like, dude, if I add in an outbound source, I can get it to 100 grand a month, and me building a consulting business to 100 grand a month is further proof as to why you should work with me to scale type of thing. So yeah, this is something that I've been thinking through. All I have to do this is basically go and just change the bio to these accounts and the actual outreach script. But I could still show you what it looks like to blast this out, except I could have my focus in, where's my focus? In one single place right here. Strictly on serving my clients at the highest level, building the best product on earth, and just doing it here versus splitting my focus. Still continuing with the daily uploads, because I think that's what the market needs, which is why I started this in the first place, is show, don't tell. Show the process working, right? And I think to its core, it doesn't really matter if I show it working for realtors, which would be a brand new business, versus the business I'm already running. Okay? So that's basically how I think through stuff. So the plan moving forward is blast out the DMs to, my market, so agencies, coaches, consultants. Get to 1,000 DMs a day. Post one YouTube a day on this channel, kind of showing what I'm thinking through, insights I'm learning, things that I'm adding in, and how I'm scaling it to 1 million a year. And then post between like 1 to 3 YouTube a week on the main channel. And that's kind of my plan. I believe this plan will get me to $1 million a year. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think. I would love some feedback, because again, the whole purpose of this channel is just to provide as much value as I can to you, and transparently to prove that I'm good at the stuff that I do, so that you can work with me in the future. Okay? Let me know what you think, man. I'll see you real soon. I'll see you tomorrow, actually. Peace.